This humble rice bowl has been loved in Japan for centuries, and today I'll show you how you can make it at home. I first discovered onigiri while studying in Korea, and it quickly became my go-to snack. Traditionally, they are filled with umeboshi, which are these salty, sour, fermented plums right here. They are made from a very sour variety of Japanese plums called ume. After washing, they are mixed with salt and packed into a container where they naturally ferment. For the final stages of the fermentation process, traditionally shiso leaves are added to the plums, giving them their distinct color and flavor. In the last step, the fermented ume are dried in the sun. This time-intensive process gives the plums their salty, sour punch. Loved by many, but definitely an acquired taste if you're not used to it. That's why in this video I'll show you not only the traditional version, but also 3 delicious modern fillings you can easily make at home. We'll start with a very easy one and then progressively get more advanced. I've actually never had umeboshi before, so before we turn these bad boys into onigiri, I thought it would be a good idea to try one.
So salty.
Yeah, definitely an acquired taste. So let me show you some more approachable fillings before we get into assembly. Let's start easy. Tuna mayo with a spicy kick. For the first filling, we only need these 4 ingredients, which you most likely already have at home. If you're vegan, you could replace the tuna, for example, with shredded jackfruit and use a vegan mayo. Simply mix all the ingredients in a bowl. Taste as you go, so you can adjust the ratios or seasoning if necessary. And just like that, our first filling is done. This took maybe 2 minutes total, but it definitely packs a punch. Next up, teriyaki chicken. Sweet, savory, and just the right amount of sticky. We're still keeping it simple with the ingredients. I'm using boneless chicken thighs, but if you prefer, you could also use breast. Important is that you take off the skin, since it would turn soggy once we mix it with the sauce. As a vegan, I think some roasted cauliflower would be amazing as an alternative. Let's start by making the sauce. In a small saucepan, combine the soy sauce, mirin, sake, and sugar and gently bring to a boil. Turn the heat down to low and let the sauce reduce until it coats the back of your spoon. Next, gently fry your chicken until it's cooked through and golden brown and crispy on the outside. Cut your chicken into small pieces, add them back to the pan and cover in sauce. And that's 2 down. A little more effort, but absolutely worth it. And finally, something a little fancier, Miso-Glazed Salmon. Again, not a lot of ingredients, nothing crazy. But we will have to use some advanced techniques for this dish. And if you want to substitute the salmon, eggplant would work wonderfully instead. Create the marinade by mixing the miso, sake, mirin, soy sauce, and sesame oil in a bowl. Transfer to a Ziploc bag and add in your salmon. Let it marinate in the fridge for approximately an hour. Preheat your oven to 230 degrees Celsius or 450 Fahrenheit and turn on the broiler. Take your salmon out of the Ziploc bag and remove any excess marinade. Then transfer to your baking tray and broil until the salmon is nicely browned and cooked to your preferred doneness. For a nice rare to medium rare, aim for about 120 Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius. It should take about 10 to 15 minutes depending on your specific cut of salmon. Make sure to keep an eye on it with a kitchen thermometer. Proceed to shred the salmon into small pieces and we're almost ready for assembly. Of course, the most important part of onigiri is the rice. Try to use short grain rice so it gets nice and sticky. I'm using 450 grams or 2 1/4 cup, which is enough for 8 to 10 onigiri. Make sure to wash your rice thoroughly to remove any remaining dust or debris and improve the final texture of the cooked rice. You can use whatever cooking method you prefer for the rice, but I'm simply transferring it to a pot and cover with water. An old trick I've learned to check if you have the right amount of water is to use your finger to measure it. The water should either reach the first crease on your finger or the middle of your fingers if you're using the whole hand. Here I've used about 600 milliliters or 2.5 cups of water. If you've done everything correctly, you should end up with fluffy but sticky rice where you can still see the individual grains. Transfer it to a big flat dish, ideally a bamboo basket, to let the rice cool evenly. Cover with a clean towel to prevent it from drying out. The last thing we need to prepare are the nori sheets. Simply cut them into thirds or any other size depending on your wrapping technique. Now that we have all our fillings, rice and seaweed prepared, we can get to the fun part, the assembly. Let's start with the traditional filling, the umeboshi. First, wet your hands with some water and dip a couple of fingers into some salt and spread on your hands. This will season the outside of our onigiri and prevent the rice from sticking to our hands too much. Scoop some rice into your hands and make a little well in the center. Add the filling, cover with more rice and shape it into a nice rounded triangle using your hands perpendicularly to each other. Next, we add the seaweed and we're done with our first onigiri. But make sure the rice has cooled down before adding the seaweed, otherwise it'll turn soggy instead of staying crisp. If you want, you can add a little bit of the filling on top as a finishing touch. This will help you identify the flavors later on. Next up, we have our spicy tuna mayo. Follow exactly the same process as before to create a nicely shaped onigiri. But before wrapping it in seaweed, we're going to coat the sides in furikake. Furikake is a Japanese seasoning typically consisting of sesame seeds, dried seaweed, dried fish like bonito flakes, salt, and sugar. It's like the Japanese equivalent to an everything but the bagel seasoning, and it's really yummy. Add your seaweed and then we move on to our chicken teriyaki filling. For this one, we use a little different wrapping technique. Use a bigger piece of seaweed and wrap it all the way around your onigiri like a cute little blanket. And last but not least, our beautiful salmon. For this one, add a couple of black sesame seeds to your hands before and after adding your rice to create this nice pattern and to add some more texture and flavor to your onigiri. And there you have it, 4 different, delicious onigiri. Which one would you want to try first? I hope you enjoyed this video and agui!